Hey everyone, it's Mark Hessman, and it's time for the post-Week 11 NFL Power Rankings. If you like it, hit the like button below, subscribe at Mark Hespin. You can also follow me on Twitter/X at Mark Hespin. Instagram, same thing, MarkHespen. Follow the show on the Mark KHMO on Facebook, and tune in every Saturday to News Talk 1070 KHMO for live editions of On the Mark. Okay. Post-Week 11 NFL Power Rankings. And then before we wrap up the video here, I'll quickly give you some thoughts on the Thursday/Friday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday games, which first time ever we're getting a game on Black Friday. So thoughts on that. And then we'll, of course, recap those games Saturday on the show and then talk about the full Week 12 slate coming up on Saturday's show. Here we go. Power Rankings. I've been saying it for forever. The Eagles, top of the Power Rankings. We'll get to them. There's no change at the top for me because I've been on the Eagles bandwagon. We'll start at number 10 this week. I'm putting in the Cleveland Browns. This is more just kind of like a kudos to the Browns, a tip of the cap, if you will. If my hat was the other way around, I would have done it the proper way. DTR came in and played okay, but really that Browns defense is so elite. They're so terrific. And the Cleveland Browns can be frisky. I mean, listen, the bottom kind of 6-7 seed in the AFC playoffs, there's a lot of teams scrambling for that positioning. Right now, the Browns, they're there. Can they hold on to it? Their schedule's workable, but it's going to be really, really tough. For the to beat the Browns, you just got to find a way to score 21 points on that defense. That's easier said than done. I'll give a tip of the cap to the Browns, put them at number 10, even though their ceiling is low. I'm 6'5". I would not want to stand in the Browns' house because I think their ceilings are like 5 foot and under. But they're a really fun story and a nice win and not giving up yet on the season for them and their fans. Bills at number 9. I'm putting the Bills back in the power rankings at number 9. Listen, the Bills, it's the Bills versus the world. They have everything to prove. Their season is ahead of them. Huge game this weekend against the Eagles and a couple big games following that. The Bills can turn this around and turn it around quickly, and they can do it with impressive wins or just wins against some really, really good teams. A nice win for the Bills to come out and just blow out the Jets. They made my job easy putting the Bills back in the power rankings this weekend by just going out and handling business. Josh Allen looked good. Joe Brady's offense looked efficient. It looked like there was a little more bit of an emphasis on not turning the ball over, an emphasis on getting the ball out quicker for Josh Allen, and those were all good things for them. So the Bills are back in the power rankings at number 9. Texans up to number 8 in the power rankings. They are at 8 last week, staying at 8 this week. And I think what the Houston Texans right now is they are a team that obviously is just surprised us, but now they're just a really well-coached football team. We can no longer just say they're a surprise because we're done with the surprise. Now we have to analyze the Texans on what they are, which is a team that is very capable of competing offensively with a lot of teams in this league. They can score points. CJ Stroud had his first really bad half of the season in the second half again in that game against Arizona, and they were still able to hold on because the DeMeco Ryans effect is real for this Houston Texans team. It's really real. He's got that defense humming, and they're not even 100% healthy. This team hasn't been healthy in the last couple of weeks. Texans getting healthy, they have a shot against the Jags, who are at number 7 in the power rankings this week. The Jags moving back up a couple spots to number 7. Listen, Trevor Lawrence put the cape on. I've been saying it all season long. Who's going to put the cape on? Who's going to be the MVP of this league right now? It's the most wide open MVP race in the NFL that I can remember in a long time. No one is putting up the big crazy numbers and stats. Maybe it's Trevor Lawrence. Maybe Trevor Lawrence can come on a run here at the end of the season. Big win last week, 4 total touchdowns. Can he do it again this week and kind of keep the stranglehold of the division for the Jags? The Jags not winning the AFC South might be the biggest surprise of the year if they're not able to do it. I think they calm the waters. I think they have the boat steered in the right direction. Doug Peterson, that offense looked like they figured some stuff out, put a couple pieces together. Remember, they had to travel to London and back. They've had a couple injuries. I think they're healthier now. There's a renewed focus. They realize the Texans aren't going anywhere. They have a real foe in their division. I can't wait to watch that game this weekend. The Jags at number 7. Dolphins at number 6. The Dolphins are, to me, the best of the rest. The top five is all legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Dolphins are the first team in that next tier where I don't see them playing in a Super Bowl. I don't see them winning a Super Bowl, but they're obviously capable of a playoff run, whatever that might look like, 1-2 wins, maybe sneak their way into an AFC championship game. The Dolphins are the best of that second group right now. And when I'll say this about the Dolphins is they, like the Bills, like the Jags, like the Texans, the teams we just talked about, they have their season in front of them. They have a really workable schedule. And if they can keep putting up big numbers and putting up points against bad teams, kind of get those style points going and win a game or two against some winning football teams, then maybe I'll consider putting the Dolphins in that top five. Right now, there's a clear divide for me between the top five and that line between 5 and 6. And when you go from 6 to 5, you get the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, Baltimore, they're getting a little bit of an extra rest here now after playing Thursday night last week and not having to play again, kind of a mini bye. I'll say this about Baltimore. Gus Edwards is a stud. He's a touchdown machine. Losing Mark Andrews is going to be really tough. How will they bounce back from that? And let's be honest, they got lucky that Joe Burrow left that game early. We all were waiting to see this kind of clash between Burrow and Lamar on a primetime game in the first really great primetime game of the season. It just didn't happen. It fell apart with the injuries. So the Ravens at 5. I think the Ravens, to me, are not yet in the elite of the AFC as far as the number one team in the AFC, purely because, again, I haven't seen Lamar in the crunch time, in the moments where he needs to put the cape on. I've been saying it. Where's the MVP performance? I haven't seen him do it yet. And that is starting to concern me a little bit. Where is that Lamar magic in the big, big moments? Maybe it'll be coming sooner than we think. Lions at number 3. Listen, the Lions, you might argue, come on, they almost lost to the Bears. They should have lost to the Bears. Yeah, but I actually think this helps my case for the Lions and why they're at the 3 spot. The Detroit Lions had no business winning that game against the Chicago Bears, and they did. That is the mark of a really good football team. That is the mark of a winning football team. The better team had a really off day, turnover mess, and yet still somehow found a way to win the game. That's what winning teams do. Detroit now has a winning culture. For over a calendar year now, they have been a winning culture since that 1-6 start last year. The Lions' offensive line is incredible. Their run game is fantastic. Jared Goff, when he's not turning the ball over, which he hasn't been, he just had an off game against the Bears, has been fantastic. And they are the number one offense in football right now. The defense, they can rush the passer, but there's not much else there. So that's the one thing that you have to hold your breath with the Lions a little bit. And that's why they're at 3 and not at higher. I skipped over the number 4 team. First time I've ever done that. At number 4 is the San Francisco 49ers. I do have the Lions actually ahead of the Niners in the power rankings. And it's because of the quarterback play. Listen, I've been a doubter on Brock Purdy all season long. There are people who are saying Brock Purdy should be the MVP. I think that is absolutely insane thinking. Brock Purdy is in a fantastic situation, and he's a very quality quarterback for that situation. They are capable of winning a Super Bowl. They absolutely are. Brock Purdy could be a Super Bowl winner. That doesn't mean he's an MVP. MVP is most valuable player. Brock Purdy's not the most valuable person in that locker room. He's not even maybe the 8th most valuable person on his own team. How can he be the most valuable person in the league? He is certainly a very important piece and a cog that makes the San Francisco team a dangerous, dangerous team. But he's not the MVP. Niners at 4. Their defense looks very, very scary. Their run game, if they're all healthy, it looks extremely engaged, and they can beat anyone in the league. I have them at 4, right behind the Lions. Again, the Lions I like a little bit more purely because of Jared Goff, and I think their Lions having just an ability to power run game and dominate you at the line of scrimmage in a more traditional way than the Niners do. I like that a little bit more right now for the Lions over the Niners, even though the Niners defense is way better than the Lions. But Ofunga, the safety, now being out, I think that's another reason why I like the Lions over the 49ers. Chiefs at number 2. I don't want to panic on the Chiefs yet, but there are some concerning stats. 0 points scored in the second half of the last 3 games. You've heard that stat being floated around. That's not a nothing stat. That's a real stat. Is it Matt Nagy? Is it just the wide receivers? I don't know, but it's something they got to figure on out. I'm not panicking on the Chiefs yet. It's still the best coach, best quarterback, best tight end in the league, a very good offensive line, and a run game that if they just commit to it could probably carry them to some points in the second half. Pacheco runs the ball really well. Edwards-Helaire had a nice couple pops. McKinnon, they just need to lean on that a little bit more, I think, right now. Lean on the run game, lean on Kelsey. Let these wide receivers just get, I don't know if they need to get more comfortable, what they need to do, but stop relying on them so much. They were up 17-7 in that game going to the half. If they would have relied on their run game in the second half, probably would have won, probably would have scored. So I'm not panicking on the Chiefs yet. They're still very capable of winning a Super Bowl, but they obviously need to upgrade their wide receiver position. Number one in the Eagles, EAGLES Eagles. I was going through all my power rankings. I keep them all here. I've had the Eagles. I started on week 2, post-week, after week 2. Honestly, the Eagles are number 1 in the power rankings for every week's but 2. So 9 of 11 weeks that I've done this, the Eagles have been the number 1 team. I've been on the Eagles all season. They're just a really special conglomeration of talent. They don't have the most dominant defense. They don't have the most dominant offense. But what they have is incredible playmakers at every unit. Offensive line, running back, wide receiver, quarterback. They have incredible playmakers on the defensive line, the linebacker position, and in the secondary as well. There is something really unique about this Philadelphia Eagles team. It starts with Jalen Hurts. He is fantastic. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I know they could use help at the tight end position. Losing Goddard has been tough. But they could get him back by the playoffs. That's a good thing for the Eagles. Eagles are number 1, and number 1 pretty easily. Let's get into this the really quick preview of the weekends of the Thanksgiving slate and the Black Friday slate. Listen, as far as the Thanksgiving goes, I don't want to overthink it. I think you trust the favorites. I like the Lions over the Packers. I like the Cowboys over Washington. And the Niners should take care of the Seahawks, especially if Geno Smith is not available to go. Don't overthink any of those games, I think, too much. I think the Lions game could get ugly. People are kind of high on the Packers after that win at home against the Chargers. I don't think that's that impressive of a win, considering the season the Chargers have had. And then as far as the Friday game goes, it's going to be weird to have Friday 2 o'clock football on Amazon Prime, Jets, Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, all signs point to the Dolphins winning easily. The Jets made the right decision to get Zach Wilson to the bench purely, again, for the fan standpoint, for just the organizational sanity. And I think it's a commitment to Robert Saleh as well. Robert Saleh's job should not be in danger. I don't think the Jets are all of a sudden now going to become a juggernaut and win some surprise games and till Aaron Rodgers gets back and healthy. A win for the Jets here would be to stay competitive and to not completely get embarrassed again in a primetime game. That would be a win for the Jets, but I'll take the Dolphins. So to recap really quick, we'll talk about on Saturday's show again, On the Mark, News Talk 1070 KHMO on Saturdays. Like and subscribe, follow the show On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. I'm taking the favorites in all 4 of the games between Thursday morning and Friday afternoon until we talk again the full slate on Sunday. Thanks for tuning on in, like and subscribe, and we'll have a post-week 12 power rankings for you next week.